All right, let's dive in. Today, we're cracking open some of Napoleon Hill's most powerful wisdom. We're talking about building a life that isn't just successful on the outside, but one that feels genuinely rich and fulfilling on the inside. This is about so much more than money. It's about getting that success with peace of mind.
But before we go any further, I want you to think about this for a second. What if the biggest thing standing between you and everything you want isn't the economy or your job or your circumstances? What if it's actually something inside your own head? That's the huge idea we're going to unpack today.
So, to get to the bottom of that, we first have to understand what holds us back in the first place. Napoleon Hill, he identified these 5 common enemies that get in the way of a truly rich life. He called them the 5 evils.
And believe me, Hill knew these enemies intimately. He grew up completely surrounded by them. I mean, he was so hungry at times that he literally ate bark off trees. But here's the thing. He came to believe that these weren't life sentences. They were just challenges, obstacles that could be totally overcome by tapping into a really specific and very powerful internal force.
And that right there brings us to the key that unlocks the whole thing. The one force that can conquer all 5 of those evils is something every single one of us already has. It's the incredible power of belief.
Now for Hill, this wasn't just some nice theory. It was real. As a young boy, he had this reputation for being the meanest boy in Wise County. Even his own father didn't expect him to amount to anything. But then, his new stepmother came into his life, and everything, and I mean everything, changed in a single moment.
Can you imagine hearing that? The impact was just profound. It was the very first time anyone had ever really expressed faith in him. His stepmother looked right past his tough guy act and saw his potential. She didn't just defend him, she basically gave him a whole new identity to live up to.
That one sentence, that one expression of faith, was the spark that lit the fuse. It gave him permission to see himself in a totally different light, and it put him on the path that would eventually lead him to study the most successful people in the world. It just goes to show how powerful belief can be, both from others and maybe even more importantly, from ourselves in shaping our entire destiny.
Okay, so if belief is that powerful, how do we actually build it? How do we focus our minds to get what we want? Well, Hill laid out a super clear framework. It all starts with harnessing the power you already have in your mind.
It all kicks off with what he called a definite chief aim. Now let's be clear, this is not just some vague wish or a New Year's resolution you forget by February. Nope. This is a goal so clear, so specific, that it completely possesses your mind. It becomes the compass that guides every single thought and action you take.
And he broke it down into these 3 really simple, actionable steps. First, define exactly what you want. Second, give yourself a deadline. And third, lock it into your subconscious by repeating a daily affirmation. And listen, this isn't just theory. He taught this exact method to a man named Manuel Elquazon, who used it to go after what seemed like an impossible goal, to free his people and become the first president of the Philippines.
And get this, here's a piece of Kazan's daily affirmation. He repeated this to himself day in and day out. What was he doing? He was building a mental fortress around his goal, protecting it from all the doubt, all the negativity, all the people who said it couldn't be done. And guess what? It worked. 24 years later, he became the first president of the Free Philippine Islands.
But of course, even with a crystal clear goal, the road is never a straight line, right? You are absolutely going to face what looks and feels like failure. The key, Hill says, is all about how you frame it.
Just take a look at the resume of Abraham Lincoln before he became president. I mean, it is a staggering list of setbacks. Failed in business, failed as a soldier, got defeated again and again in politics, and suffered unbelievable personal tragedy. By any normal standard, his life was just a series of failures.
But here's the crucial part. Lincoln didn't see these as final defeats. He absolutely refused to let his past define his future. To him, each failure was just a temporary setback, another lesson learned on the road to his definite chief aim. He possessed his own mind, and that mind was locked on his ultimate goal.
And we see this exact same principle with another legend, Thomas Edison. His own teacher wrote him off, called his mind addled, and said he was basically unteachable. The so-called voice of authority declared him a failure before he even got started. But just like Lincoln, Edison didn't let that poison enter his mind. He knew his own purpose, and he went on to literally change the world. Okay, so all of this, the belief, the definite aim, seeing failure as a stepping stone, it all leads us to the absolute heart of Hill's philosophy. Because for him, piling up money or getting famous was never the real end goal. The true prize, the ultimate form of riches, was something way, way deeper.
He taught that having millions of dollars, but being absolutely riddled with fear and worry and anger, well, that's just another kind of poverty, isn't it? True riches are found in things like peace of mind, happiness, and being free from that internal conflict. Material stuff is a tool for sure, but that inner peace, that's the real treasure.
So after all those decades of study, after interviewing hundreds of the world's most successful people, what did Napoleon Hill figure out was the one thing that tied it all together? What is the supreme secret to a life that has both wealth and peace?
Here it is. The supreme secret is mastering your own mind. It's that simple and that profound. It's the absolute power to take control of your own thoughts, to point them toward your goals, and, this is key, to defeat the inner enemies that try to sabotage you from the inside out.
And these are the enemies he's talking about. They aren't out there somewhere. They are states of mind inside each of us. Fear, worry, anger, envy, indecision, these are the saboteurs. They're the things that poison our thinking, drain our energy, and block us from ever finding that inner peace that defines what it means to be truly rich.
Ultimately, Napoleon Hill's message is just one of profound empowerment. The greatest power you will ever have is the power over your own mind. So the final question isn't for him, it's for you. Take another look at that list. Which one of those inner enemies are you going to choose to conquer first on your journey to a richer life?